Hello and welcome to another how-to. This one is entitled Working with Nature While Carp Fishing. What do I mean by working with nature? Well, when carp fishing, we need all the help we can get. My favourite part of carp fishing is, as you might gather from previous videos, surface fishing. Other fish in the lake, and certainly bird life, all like my chosen bait, tiger bread. But over a period of time of working through the methods, I've discovered that we can use the wildlife to actually assist us to catch more carp. Let's have a little look at the wildlife. Coots and moorhens, small creatures, feathered. They inhabit lakes. Each year they have chicks and they've got to find food to feed them, and bread can be seen as a part of this diet. The coots and moorhens are only small, so allowing them to peck at your bait, eat some of it, take enough to feed chicks, actually works well. As long as they leave, and this is a principle for all wildlife, as long as they leave enough for the carp, our chosen quarry, then great, live and let live. The moorhen and the coot will, as I said earlier, peck at the tiger bread. When it's such a large bait, there's plenty for everyone. The coots and moorhens can spot a large piece of tiger bread from the other side of the lake. They paddle great distances, so we let them have some of it. Do we catch them? Very, very rarely. They appreciate that there is a hook within the bait. In my chosen bread rig, which you could search for, the BBP bread rig if you chose to, always has the hook on top. So if they do see it, they are hungry, they have chicks to feed, so let them peck away, take some back to the chicks. They very rarely eat all of it. It's physically impossible. On the odd occasion, they will try and take all of it back to the island. Any slight tension on the line dissuades them from this. They may return over and over to peck away, but they do leave sufficient for the carp. And while they're in the area, they become yet another bite alarm. If you see a coot or a moorhen suddenly turn away after travelling great distances to have a peck at the tiger bread, if you see them turn away, you have to assume there's fish in the area. Now it might be a shoal of silverfish, or it may well be a carp. But the fact that they turn away is a good indication that you're in the right spot to catch a carp. Other signs: coots, moorhens. I've seen them take off vertically like a helicopter when something touches the feet underwater. So again, if you were not concentrating fully on your bait, you may be considering what to do next. They will snap your mind back to the job in hand by a sudden takeoff. This sudden takeoff can be followed by a quite healthy take by any carp in the area. So use them as an ally. Moving on to our next nature resident of the lake, mallard ducks. Singly, mallard ducks quickly identify safe or dangerous baits. Yes, they like bread. Yes, they will approach, and yes, they will attack a big piece of tiger bread, but they soon learn that the hook is a danger to them, and in fact very shortly into the year they will totally ignore any large baits such as tiger bread, because they've seen what happens when any of their pals actually tries to consume tiger bread with a big hook in it. So that's a single duck being dissuaded from consuming your tiger bread by the very fact that the hook is on top. When there's two or more, it's a little bit more scary for you as the angler. When there's quite a few of them, a squadron of ducks, they will mob your bait. Be assured, one in that squadron will be braver than the rest. It might be triggered by hunger or just being madder than the rest of the ducks. So if you see a mob of ducks approaching your bait, and it's pretty obvious, make a move towards your rods. If this doesn't dissuade them and they carry on towards it, then be prepared to reel in and wait for them to pass. this isn't a common occurrence, and so we can live with the fact that they do have to have food. We are providing a very tasty morsel for them, and the pack or mob instinct triggers unlikely reaction that's unlikely to be dissuaded by any hook showing on the bait. If you've taken your mind off your bait, you should always be focusing on surface baits, always. Never leave your rods unattended. Always have it out in front of you so you can watch even while your mind's wandering. If you should happen to hook a duck, please bring it straight in, unhook it and return it safely as possible. Getting back to the coots and moorhens for a second, if by any chance one of them is foul hooked, then when you bring it in, cover it with a towel except for the part where the hook is. I say cover it with a towel because they do have claws. We don't want to damage the spindly tiny legs. We don't want to harm them at all, but we want to unhook them as quickly as possible so we can return them safely. So cover them with a towel to keep them safe and avoid any scratches while you're trying to return them. Seagulls, the bane of surface fishing life in the early evening. If it's a single seagull, then just cast closer to an island or a feature and they won't attack your bait. If you're out mid-lake, they will see it as a challenge and they'll circle and try and take your bait. If it's purely free-lined, then they may well pick it up, feel any tension and drop it. If it's zigged, they invariably feel the weight of the zig lead immediately and again drop it. If you hook them, and let's hope you never do, try and jerk the hook and line free as early as possible during the retrieve. When the seagull attacks happen most, as I said earlier, early evening seems to be feeding time for them. If there's two or more, a small squadron, they definitely see it as a challenge. Like World War II fighter aces, they take turns at picking up bait and small fish from the surface or near the surface. They do occasionally land and peck away, and they might even try and take bread or bait off other ducks. coots and moorhens. But there's an element of play in the way they bomb, circle, bomb again, circle, dive, attack. So it will pass and they will move on. Fish closer to a tree line and it'll alleviate any seagull attacks. That's above the surface. Now, bream and roach can sometimes be stocked in carp lakes, and both love bread. If it's purely surface fish, free lined, then roach may well be your biggest problem. But again, similarly to coots and moorhens, they will just peck away at your bait. If there's a shoal, they will decimate your bait. How do we overcome it? Well, we can't. We've just got to work with it. Remember the principle that any activity at your bait, any activity, be it fish or bird life, will bring it to the attention of carp. So they're doing you a favour by highlighting a cruising carp may have missed the fact that your bait is in the area. So a shoal of roach or a shoal of bream, and you'd be surprised how far up a bream will come. If you were to zig just under the surface, you will get roach and bream attacking your bait. But, as said previously, any activity stimulates carp interest. So, treat them all with the same deference and work with them rather than try and work against them. They are not the problem. They actually enhance your chances of catching a carp while surface fishing. I hope you've enjoyed this insight into working with nature while trying to catch a carp. Join me again soon. Bye for now.